Charan Singh, Professor of International Relations at JNU, joining us from Chengdu in China. Good evening, Dr. Singh. Good to have you on the show. The two leaders met today. They had a dialogue. We heard from the foreign ministries of both the countries. But what do you think transpired, and what are the challenges and potentials going forward?
First thing important to see is that both these leaders not only have a certain amount of chemistry, they also repeatedly make sure they showcase that bonhomie that they are building between them. Second, I think both are also now going to be in position for next 5 years or more, and therefore they can think of long-term relationship and decisions that will impact long-term. Third is that now China is the largest Asian economy, India is the third largest, and that is important because if BRI has to be successful, and now we notice China creating situations where they could co-opt India into BRI. We have noticed BRI expanding from territorial physical projects to increasingly towards digital and now cultural connectivity. And that will create more space for India because India is IT power and of course a civilization. So even within BRI, there are going to be dimensions and components where India will be able to really contribute a great deal. Also, I think important to understand that when they meet in a context like Shanghai Cooperation Organization, they are today being seen as the main drivers of whatever decision-making happens. And I want to underline the fact that, yes, a particular country may not be named in the final declaration, but if you remember the Qingdao Summit of 2017, certain outfits were clearly named in about 5 paragraphs. So naming and shaming could still happen. And I think that is very important that as Prime Minister has now started having a very assertive counter-terrorism strategy or policy, it is good to keep China on our side in that sense. And it will be important to see how the Shanghai Cooperation Organization this time formulates, because both Russia and China do have already very assertive policy on countering terrorism, and India apparently is joining that kind of tone and tenor. And I think that kind of endorsement of Shanghai Cooperation Organization to this assertive policy in countering terrorism of not talking to Pakistan will be an interesting outcome most likely. Of course, they will also be willing to discuss about the problem of energy. US sanctions on Iran and Venezuela have created problem for both China and India. I think that really brings them together to really think of how to deal with that reality again. So there are going to be increasingly issues where you will see China and India standing together with each other.
Very quickly, I want to ask you, you said a particular country. We know that Pakistan is not going to be named, and yet it remains the elephant in the room. You say that they're going to focus a lot on countering terror. But if you do not address the problem, if you do not address it squarely, then the tokenism doesn't help very much. Is India's focus now on looking east and engaging more with China, which will take care of Pakistan? Is that the idea?
India basically had made sure that the old insinuation that India-Pakistan tensions do not allow regional development initiatives to proceed, has India now changed that policy? So we are saying that regional cooperation should not suffer because India-Pakistan have problems, and therefore we are shifting to BIMSTEC, which is only a pause button, which is a kind of a straight indication to Pakistan that there is not going to be stopping of regional cooperation. India has moved towards east clearly, from look east to act east, now Indo-Pacific, and we are building cooperation with China, Japan, Korea, and Australia, and everybody else. India is increasingly seen as an important nation, and Prime Minister this time is attending the first multilateral meeting after being re-elected with larger majority in the largest democracy on the planet in that sense. So he is going there with a very different image of being a strong leader of a powerful country in that sense. And these countries will also engage India just as much as India wants to engage them.
Right.
In fact, it's going to be interesting that who the Indian Prime Minister is not meeting is being debated much more than who he is meeting there in the meetings.